A2Z Across LC with your hosts, Jeff Alsman and Cody Zipman.
And welcome everyone to another edition of the A2Z Across LC podcast. I'm Jeff Alsman. Cody Zipman is alongside. He's the Z in the A to Z. I'm the A, so it means I'm ahead of you in alphabetical order, of course.
In life, too.
Yeah, it's just one of those things, isn't it? But you know, we kind of go back to a few segments back when everybody said, you're the star.
Star. I'll take it.
That puts a lot of pressure on you, and I'm glad to defer all of that to you, because I don't want the pressure of being the star. I just let you know that.
I'm as good as my team, Jeff.
Well, you know, they say the rats jump off the sinking ship, right?
I get move along here in this intro. Let's go.
So, hey, we're coming off of if you saw the last episode, the outdoor podcast that we did on Eclipse Day.
By far the most fun podcast I ever had.
It was a lot of fun.
It was awesome.
It was a lot of fun. Had a lot of great guests. Got to see the eclipse. I was a little bit disappointed. Didn't get nearly as dark as I thought it was going to, but it was still a neat thing. It was our first time trying to do things live. We had the help of lots of great folks, producers, directors, Mike Lemons, David Olenbittle, Brian McKinney, and there were some students that I don't know their names, and I apologize for that also helped out to make that happen. That was a big job to get all of the technical stuff out on location to pull that off.
Once again, I mean, it is impressive how much goes into just putting a few people on a show. Okay, now I've seen that at Enterprise Center, just down in the event level, and the trucks and all the wires and everything that goes on to just putting a game on the rink. But in just what do we have? 3-4 of us at any time? But in the background, there's 3-4 with the wires and everything else to make that show happen. So a big tip of the cap to those guys and everybody that put that on, because maybe that's a behind the scenes podcast we do on the setup for A to Z. Maybe. Can we pull that off?
You're gonna have to ask all the people that have to take that stuff out there. You're beginning to plan schedules other than just yours and mine now, if you
that is true.
are going
that is
there.
True. But it's impressive.
So really what you're saying is Enterprise Center has nothing on us.
Nothing at all, other than the massive trucks and a lot more wires, I guess.
We've just got dollies and folks with sore backs.
That's true.
Is kind of what you're saying.
Hey,
we've got a great show today, I think, too. And if you'd missed that last podcast, you can go back and look at any one of the first, I guess it's probably 4, 5, 6 now that we've done. Spotify, the Lewis and Clark Facebook page has it as well. I think you can find it on the YouTube page. Basically, anywhere you find your podcasts, you should be able to now find the A to Z Across LC podcast. So go back and look at those.
By the way,
yes,
you've done it now, because right after that podcast, there's one department that you want to stay off radar at every job. And now, next month, HR is arriving on our podcast, right?
I try to stay out of HR year round if I can. So
we got Gabe Springer and Laura Fallon, and the best thing about, if you can guess Laura Fallon's favorite song on Comment, what would it be?
Out of hundreds of thousands of songs, how am I supposed to just guess one?
Free Fallon, yeah. And I'm free.
Okay. Oh, okay. Calm
free
down.
Fallon, yeah.
Thanks for moving a little bit away from the mic, though. That was a big help.
I was instructed by Liv ahead of time.
By our producers and directors that always guide us with their great wisdom and keep us from damaging any equipment.
That's right. What do we got on the show today?
Today, we're going to be talking to Ethan Braasch. He is the manager of sustainability and campus environment, as well as several other things, landscaping and grounds. And so we're going to talk about it's National Lawn Month or Landscaping Month. We're going to talk about that, find out when you should plant, when you shouldn't, when you should cut. At my house, it's like every other day. All of those kinds of different things, pruning, whatever. But really, we get a lot of compliments out here at the college about how nice and green everything is, the beauty of the campus, and he's kind of the guy responsible for that. So we're going to put the pressure on him, find out how he coordinates all that and gets all that done. So that'll be one of our segments. It's also the month to celebrate diversity in April. So we're going to have Maya Lawrence. She's the director of diversity and help me out, inclusion and excellence. She'll tell us. I've got my letters mixed up on that. But when she comes on, she'll help us out. And then something I'm really looking forward to. There's another podcast here on campus that was initiated out of a student being part of the classes here in the digital media production department. And two baseball players. It's called Pitch and Catch. Great name, I think, for a podcast.
Great name. And I'm interested to see how well Lemons is as a professor.
To see how
that's
well
my question.
He's taught those.
That's right. That's going to be my first question.
So I hope they're excited to join us. I'm excited to talk to them. We'll talk a little podcast. We'll talk a little baseball as well with those guys because they're both baseball players here at Lewis and Clark. So what do you say we stop jabbering and kind of get... Oh, before we do, we should say if you're interested in finding out about any of the events that are going on campus, it's very easy. All you have to do, go to your browser, type in events.lc.edu. It'll pull up the public calendar, and you'll be able to access any of the events that are happening on campus, even out into the future as far as they are planned. So,
what about our new email address, too?
That's a good one, too. It's the number 2, A2Z podcast at lc.edu. So if you have a topic you'd like for us to talk about, or if you'd like to be on the podcast, if there's a program you'd like for us to cover, an event coming up, drop us an email, and we'll do our best to get through as many of those as they start popping in as possible.
And for all you soccer fans out there, Harry McKnight, a student athlete here, is going to give us updates of Chelsea versus Everton today. My team from across the pond of the Premier Soccer League.
That's a big exciting. That's a big football. Yeah. So that's a big exciting game.
Yeah, I mean, we're at the bottom of the table, but, club versus club, and he's always giving me...
Now, you realize that by the time people see this, that game will be over with.
It is, but the kids love it. Okay. Everybody knows Harry McKnight. He's a legend here over in the Athletics.
I just want to make sure you knew that.
Yeah. We do know that. Okay. But I ran into him. He was already giving me
What the heck? Yeah, it's always nice to touch base with folks.
Especially when Everton wins, like the previous match.
He probably wanted to be on the podcast.
He did. That's what he said.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. All right. Well, why don't we take a break? When we come back, we're going to be talking to Ethan Braasch. How's that sound? Cody, take us
Sounds to me. Let's roll. LC, we are
LC A to Z.
Yo, what up? It's Mike Keith, the proud graduate of Lewis and Clark Community College. I got my start in broadcasting and now I work all over the country. I discovered my path in media, but dental hygiene could have been my thing. Or my path could have been conservation.
And welcome back to the A to Z Across LC podcast. Jeff Alsman here, Cody Zipman there. And Cody, I hear you have an update.
Yeah, game's over.
Good news. A game is over already?
I mean, it might as well be. Oh. Chelsea up 2-0, so we can move on. Harry, I tip my cap to you, my friend.
Thanks so much, Harry, for updating us and being part of the podcast. But 2 goals, that's in soccer, that football, that's a pretty good... That's like a 4-6 run lead in baseball, isn't it?
That's right. Yeah, it's 10-0, especially when you're on the road at Chelsea.
Okay. So. Well, maybe we'll get one more update before the day's over.
Yeah, maybe 4-0.
Let's bring in Ethan. Ethan Braasch is the manager of sustainability and campus environment. Also has all kinds of things to do with the landscaping, the beautification of our campus here at Lewis and Clark. Ethan, welcome to the podcast, and we're going to give you an opportunity to tell us a little bit about how all of that happens. It is National Landscaping and Lawn Care Month, so we thought it was the perfect time to bring you in and just tell folks how difficult it is for you to keep everything looking good here at the college.
Ethan, concrete the world and fossil fuels for life.
No. Well, thanks, Jeff and Cody. Thanks for having me on. Pleasure to come here and chat with you guys for a little bit. It is also Earth Week too, and the weather's warming up. We're seeing a lot of activity. I just went to Market Basket over the weekend to pick out a few plants for myself, and it was packed. So 'tis the time of year to kick all of that off. And
We got flowers. We got flowers this weekend as well. My wife said, "Do you think it's too early?" And I said, "You're asking the wrong person."
no, it's right at the right time. What'd you end up getting? Do you remember?
You're asking the wrong person.
That's so good.
She
Fair
takes.
enough.
Hey, as he's
Fair
asking
enough.
that question, I'm literally thinking, I'm buying Jeff dinner if he knows what flower pops up.
I one was a geranium. It was pink.
Okay,
I know
yeah.
that. The other ones were yellow, and I'm gonna say that they might have been daffodils. No, they weren't. I know what that looks like. I don't think it was I don't know what they were.
Yeah, well, that's okay.
The other one was yellow. That's popping. So that was a dandelion.
No, no. I know what those are. I see plenty of those. Those
iconic.
pop up, and I get rid of those. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I'll find out though. Now you're gonna make me find out.
Sure. You know, you can eat the dandelions too. You don't have to just necessarily spray them or get rid of them. They're good for a lot of different things.
Just like straight out of the yard and onto
Sure.
your salad.
Yeah, you can make wine out of them. There's all sorts of things you can do.
I thought that was just in a country song.
Hey,
And you can
12-6 curveball on that one.
Yeah. You can make like a coffee substitute out of the roots as well.
Really?
Now my jaws just dropping to the table. I had no idea.
There's all
You know,
sorts of cool things.
we need to do this. This needed to be a demonstration show. You know,
Yeah, no.
I'm never going to look at a dandelion the same way.
Yeah, well, part of the things that we have to consider here on campus anyway is there's lots of different plates to spin, right? So you're balancing aesthetics, you're balancing cost, maintenance, the labor that goes into it, but you're also trying to encourage a healthy environment as well, not just for the visitors of campus, the students, instructors, but also the wildlife that we have on campus. But we have a large campus, and there's deer, there's insects, there's other critters, frogs, snakes, whatever you can imagine, and we
All looking for an education.
right, exactly, all looking for a nice space. So that's a big part of what we do in the horticulture department is try to bring all of those things together in a cohesive way. My background is in natural resource conservation, not necessarily ornamental horticulture. I've been here with the college now for 8 years, so I've picked up a thing or two, but really the place that I'm coming from is conservation. And so I try to integrate those principles into the management of the grounds, and then more recently I've been more involved with some of the other, I guess you could say, non-plant related sustainability initiatives on campus. Alternative energy, recycling program, that sort of thing.
So I'm gonna back up for this for a minute because you've got me fascinated now.
Sure.
I want to know what a dandelion tastes like.
Well, you just got to try it, find out.
I mean, it doesn't have.
It's. I would use the word herbal, I suppose, but
So it's
that's
got
kind of
It
broad.
kind of has an earthy.
Yeah, right,
taste.
exactly.
I'm not sure I'd like that.
Well, there's only one way to find out.
Loaded up with Thousand Island dressing, and you
Maybe
never know
so.
the difference.
Yeah, right, exactly. The leaves, I would say probably the leaves are better.
My favorite part of the dandelion is when it turns white and you can blow on it and those seeds go everywhere.
So you can spread it all over.
Yeah,
as much
that's
as
my
possible.
favorite part of the dandelion.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, it's interesting because a lot of people are looking at lawn care a little bit differently in recent years, and I know that Cody can speak to this too. Although it's a little bit different with the athletic fields, a lot of it has to do with function, purpose. But there's this growing sentiment that maybe in some spaces the monocultured grass isn't perhaps the best, perhaps the most sustainable option. So, like for example. Clover, everybody probably could recognize a patch of clover. For homeowners, sometimes they'll come in and they'll spray the clover out, and then they'll turn right around and they'll add nitrogen to the soil. Well, clover is a nitrogen fixer, so you're kind of spending money to get rid of the clover, and then you're supplementing with the nutrients that if you had just left the plants, it would have had the same effect.
So I did that. Got rid of all my clover. So I shouldn't have done that.
Not necessarily. I mean, it depends upon what you're going for. Here on campus, there's lots of moving parts, lots of events, lots of things you have to consider. I consider the aesthetics to be a key component of what we do. So it really just depends. If you're a homeowner, you would just want to look at your situation, figure what is necessary. It also helps to get soil tested for the nutrients, for your pH levels, and lets you know kind of what you're dealing with, what's going to do well there, how much do you care about how it looks versus how much would you like to encourage pollinators, invertebrates to be around. Are you familiar with Dr. Doug Tallamy out of the University of Delaware? I'm
not. You're going to tell me he has written the manual that I need for my home lawn, is what you're going to tell me.
Among many things. So he's sort of a preeminent entomologist, natural resource professor at a University of Delaware, and he did kind of write the book. Now you could go all the way back to E.O. Wilson, the father of biodiversity, who was writing back in the 80s, mid 80s, about this issue, predicting the the insect population collapse. And I could drive around in the evening in the summer and know that it's, at least anecdotally, that it's true that my windshield isn't covered in bugs the way that it was when I was a kid.
You need to come over to the athletic shuttle for all the fundraisers.
Yeah.
It's plenty covered in bugs on that trip to St. Louis and back.
I believe that.
But let's just go. So this is artificial versus native. Mm-hmm. Is that what you're basically saying?
Yeah. So what you want to look at is what grows naturally in your ecosystem region. So for us, we're in the eastern forest area, mm-hmm. and actually a really great resource for this is the National Wildlife Federation, so nwf.org. You can go there, and they have a full map of the continental United States where you can look up exactly what are your keystone natives. And when I say keystone native, that's a particular term that identifies, because not all natives supply what is needed to support bug populations. So I would say there's certain plants that support caterpillar growth, for example, and that's a big portion of Dr. Tallamy's work, is looking at caterpillars specifically. And we've seen since 1974 45% global invertebrate abundance decline. So it's pretty significant, and those caterpillars support. I would think I can think of a couple of bird species that don't need caterpillars when the clutch is first coming up. Finches, doves can eat seeds as little chicks, but the vast majority of birds can't. They need caterpillars.
So this becomes a circle of life.
The circle of life.
Exactly, right. The food web, right? It needs to be supported. So if you have a massive decline in caterpillars because you don't have native species where those plants and those invertebrates have come up together, you lose the population of caterpillars, and consequently all the other animals that feed on the caterpillars. The caterpillars are actually, I believe, the largest mover of energy up through the food chain. So it's critically important. It's actually not an option to allow these populations to collapse in this way. So people are looking at all of these things very, very closely now, and I try to think about it a lot when making plant selections, because that's actually something, and people will call me and ask, they're aware of these issues, they're familiar with Dr. Tallamy's work and many others as well, and they say, what can I do? And actually it's encouraging, because a lot of it can be handled at the homeowner level, and of course if you're a property owner, you've got a lot more latitude to do what you want. And so that National Wildlife Federation interactive map will give you a list of keystone plants that you can add to your landscape that'll encourage not just pollinators but also other invertebrates like caterpillars too. So like oaks.
And the website for that again was?
nwf.org. And then you would what I did was go in the search bar and just type keystone. And it'll be the first thing that pops up.
Okay.
So I'll make you a promise at home, 3 acres. I promise it will be all native, and I will just mow.
I'll follow up.
However, I will tell you at this school, the best turf is artificial turf.
Well, that may be true. Yeah.
And the goal is hopefully within the next 5.
Oh, no kidding.
I'll make you a promise also, probably about an acre at home.
Okay.
will be 100% whatever the wife wants to put in there.
Happy wife, happy life.
She's the one I got to convince. Right?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
So let's turn it back to Lewis and Clark. You've got trees, you've got grass, you've got flowers, you've got shrubs.
Yes.
You have a whole water system that's everything from a lake to ponds with filters and the fountains. How do you tie all that? Because those are the things that people see when they talk about the beauty of the campus.
Yeah, and that's what we want to encourage is a beautiful learning environment. I know when I was in school, I would seek out the most aesthetically pleasing places to do my research papers or to study, and I always felt like it made me feel more intelligent, get better grades. I found that to be true personally, but also the mental health and well-being benefits of just being in the gardens is well documented, as well as helping out. So we always encourage people to volunteer, not just because I want the extra hands, but also because it feels nice. It helps people take ownership in the campus and the spaces that they're occupying, and they really appreciate it too. But yeah, there's a lot of moving parts. It can be pretty complicated, particularly the water systems, I would say.
What's your favorite spot?
My favorite spot on campus? Oh, that's a good question. I really like the stone bench outside of Erickson. That's got a really fantastic view. It feels very secluded, even though it's really kind of right in the middle of everything. That would probably be one of my favorite spots. The Great Lawn is fantastic.
That's my favorite
too.
spot.
Yeah.
Quiet out there. Yeah.
It's very austere. Yeah, exactly.
So it's like we've run out of time for this segment, but it just seems like there's so much more we could talk about. I want to bring you back on another episode.
Oh, absolutely.
When's the best time to talk about something different than what we talked about today? Fall-ish? Would that be another good time because it'll bring a whole different set of questions and things like that?
Yeah, absolutely. We could have an autumn debrief, and we can talk about whatever you guys want. I mean, I was having a tough time narrowing down what I wanted to chat with you about because there's just so much. I could keep going forever.
When you're such a novice, I kill everything. So when you're such a novice as I am, this could just go on and on because, I feel like I'm doing a lot of picking of your brain here. I don't know that I'm learning anything necessarily, but I'm going to go to those websites and things like that that you talked about. But
absolutely.
I could, I think coming back and doing another segment where we talk about a different season of the year or something like that would be really, really cool. So can't thank you enough for being with us. You've definitely given me some homework and I think educated me. And I know Cody, working on grounds here on campus probably is way more in the know than me. But I think there are a lot more folks out there like me than there are like the two of you, and certainly you, when it comes to the knowledge of and the interaction and the intricacies and all of that, how everything plays together. We don't think about that. I just hop on the tractor and mow the lawn.
I understand.
And that's the end of it.
Sure. Well, don't be discouraged. You say you've killed plenty of things. Everybody does. The great thing about it is that every mistake is a learning opportunity, and that's how you end up with a green thumb. Nobody starts out that way.
My wife is good at it. That's why I leave it all.
I leave it all
to her, but I'm not. Ethan, thanks so much for being with us. We will definitely have you back as the seasons start to change, and we have some more things that we can talk about when it comes to landscaping and preparing maybe for right now everything's growing and we're putting everything out. Maybe we'll come back and talk again about what we need to do to get ready when things are going to flip the scale and begin to die off and how we need to protect them or whatever it is that we do in that season. Does that sound good?
Yeah, that sounds great. I'd absolutely love to come back. Thanks for having me.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, Ethan. Appreciate it.
Cody?
We are
LC A2Z.
Yo, what up? It's Mike Keith, the proud graduate of Lewis and Clark Community College. I got my start in broadcasting and now I work all over the country. I discovered my path in media, but I could have been an electrician. Or I could have been a nurse.
Maybe not.
And welcome back to the A2Z Across LC podcast. And we are happy to be joined by Maya Lawrence now, who is the Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusive Excellence here on the campus. And it is the month to celebrate diversity. So Maya, welcome to the A2Z Across LC podcast. Great to have you with us.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Good to have a diehard true KU fan, not a casual KU fan by Jared Hiddings out there, you know.
Jared, I didn't tell him to say that. I would
In fact,
that
in fact, we
from
told
the
him
record.
not to say that.
That is true.
Yes.
So of course I said it.
Yeah. Rock chalk, Jared.
Yeah.
There's always one rebel rouser in the group, you know.
And you found him so quickly.
Yeah.
It was apparent right away. Yes.
P.S. Harry McKnight update.
We got an update. Go ahead, real quick.
3-0 Chelsea.
So it's getting worse, not better. Okay.
Oh.
Maya doesn't care anything, and
No, was this is soccer, right?
Yes.
Hey, yes.
Let's go.
Yes.
100%.
Okay.
go.
Well, I just didn't. I don't know. Anyway, it's still not good unless you're the fan of the team that's winning.
Chelsea. Yeah.
That's
my,
not
my
the-
team's losing.
Your team's losing.
Yeah.
Right.
We lose a lot.
So it is the month to celebrate diversity, and how do we go about doing that? What's the best way? What's your input? What's your part on campus of how we try to do that as best we can here?
Got it. I think. I know that April is the designated month for like diversity awareness. October is global diversity awareness. So I think, truthfully, it's acknowledging the month, but not putting a whole lot of weight on the 1 month, right? Like the goal with DEI here at LC is to integrate it in a part of our culture, right? So it's a part of the things that we do day to day. Which was kind of why with the blueprint, it was important to have shared language. So we have a shared definition of what diversity means here and how can we kind of do things throughout the whole year to acknowledge diversity on campus, right? So, I think that it's important when we're talking about in the classroom, we're acknowledging diversity in the sense of people are diverse learners. So how are we reaching out to those students to make sure that we're reaching their needs and not just focusing on one modality? It's in our programming as well. It's making sure we're looking at different programming to make sure we're acknowledging different facets of students, faculty, and staff, so that we're doing programming that reaches all. And I think just in general, when we're thinking about the things we want to do here at LC, it's looking at it and thinking, okay, we're planning this. So where's the diversity in it? How can we bring diversity to it? How can we make sure that there are multiple voices that are being represented and being heard in what we do, to make sure that we have that diversity lens on the things that we're trying to do?
I've always thought that diversity is difficult just by nature because the term itself has so many sub-definitions. There's racial diversity, there's ethnic diversity, there's the diversity in ideas, there's language diversity, there's diversity of opinions. All of those fall under the big umbrella of diversity, but there's so many segments below the big definition that sometimes I think when we speak diversity, we don't always perceive it the same or know what we're really focusing on when we just use the general term diversity. Because if you just said that, everybody's going to think of one of those subsegments differently and think that might be what we're talking about. So you really have to focus on what type of diversity or diversiveness you're focusing on, you're talking about. Do you agree with that? Do you find that sometimes everything just falls under the word and nobody really knows what they're trying to discuss or what the strategy is in uplifting and celebrating that?
Right. I think there's a couple of answers to that, right? So I think that, yes, diversity can be an umbrella term, right? Where it's like all of these things are under it. That's why I think it's very important that when you're talking about it, in just in the realm of like our institution, our school. That's why you kind of have to have shared language, right? That's why there has to be a definition that represents, okay, this is what this means for us. And then I think that there has to be an understanding of all of these different kinds of diversity. I think that sometimes diversity, when you say that, people only think of race. And then you have to go, actually, no, it can be so many other things, right? And so where we're talking about diversity in whatever realm, right? We could be talking about gender, ethnicity, religion, whatever. You do have to be clear in what you're talking about, because I think for some reason, even in 2024, when I say the word diversity, the first thing people often think of is going to be race. Mm-hmm. And as you said, it can be so much, right? So it doesn't have to be. Race is a part of it, but it doesn't have to be the only thing.
Because there is that perception, do some of the other important diversities get overlooked or get brushed off to the side? Because so often when somebody says, okay, let's talk about diversity, or let's raise the level of diversity, they immediately begin to think, okay, we're having a discussion about race, and that's not really where you intended to go at all. Does that sometimes happen? It often happens.
But I think that's why it's important to kind of navigate the conversation, and make sure that the people that you're addressing have an understanding of, this is diversity and this is what it means to us. So in the realm of this conversation, this is what we're talking about. Can we bring in race? Sure. Or if it's a conversation structured around race, then that's what we're talking about, within the realm of diversity at that point. But I think that because of certain mindsets, that is just where some people will always go first. I think that's also plays a role in why there might be some pushback or concern or whatever about DEI in general, because I think that you hear those letters and you think race. And then you start having conversations and you open up the door for people to realize, when we're talking about being inclusive, we're talking about making a space for everyone. When we're talking about equity, we're talking about how can each individual have their own success? What can we do to see a student, faculty, or a staff member as an individual to help them on their path to success? When we're talking about diversity, we're talking about different learning styles. We're talking about race, ethnicity. We're talking about religion. It's so much that it could be. And I think our overarching goal needs to be to make sure that we have a sense of belonging on campus. And to have that, you have to look at these differences of people, right? To make sure that you're kind of hitting all of those marks, and we're not just like, this is for this one group, so we're good. We have this diversity because we did this one thing. It's making sure there's a space across the board.
So how challenging is it to come up with some type of an event or function that you want to plan as a totally inclusive event, so that all segments of diversity that we've talked about can be part of that? Seems like that'd be a really big challenge, because you always have to fear that somebody's not going to interpret it correctly, or somebody's going to feel left out, even though that wasn't the intention, just maybe because from their life experiences or their mindset, what you're seeing is totally inclusive, they may see as discriminatory against them because this doesn't fit what they thought it should be like. So I don't know how you win that battle. Maybe honestly, battle's not the right word. That sounds too confrontational, but I don't know how you get a victory there, let's say.
Yeah, and I don't know that it's necessarily about winning the battle, so to speak. I think that when you're doing things, programming, whatever, right, it's important to have multiple voices that are helping with this programming. And if you do miss a voice, hopefully someone in that group or that person will come to you and say, hey, this happened and I feel left out. So if that happens to me, then my next step is, after an apology, right? Well, then what can we do for you? Like, what we can do a whole event around, whatever this group is that you identify as a part of, right? Because it's never the goal to leave anyone out, but diversity is very, it's a broad term, right? So the possibility of leaving something out or forgetting a group is significant. Like it's, you might think you have a checklist and you're like, all right, I got it all. And then you're like, no, you don't.
I bet you apologize a lot.
More than I wanted. But I think that's also just super important, right? Because at the end of the day, you don't want somebody to feel like they don't belong. And then if, for me specifically, my role, that's a part of it, right? The sense of belonging. And so if I have done something to make a group feel like they don't have a place, then bring it to me so that I can, correct this situation. Because, I'm one person and I have my own diverse backgrounds, and I'm going to see things through my lens first, right? That's why it's important. I always have like a group of diverse people come together and do things so that I can get perspectives that aren't the same as mine. And so that's kind of the same thing when you're programming. I don't think necessarily programming things is difficult. Sometimes the bigger concern may be, how do we get people there? But if someone said, hey, I wanted to do this thing, presuming this one thing is not something that is excluding people or not, harmful, we can probably make it happen. There's been some support in several different ways that we can make these programs happen. And that's why I say if someone is like left out, then we need to do something to rectify that situation. So
the whole idea of DEI is still relatively new as far as the focus given to it, especially. How along have we come? Now, you haven't been here that long to start to tackle this and these expectations, and it is part of the strategic plan, as you've mentioned. How far have we come, and how far do we still have to go if you were going to put a percentage on it?
Oh, I don't think I can. It's
hard to measure.
You say you mean like here at Lewis and Clark,
the school,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I can really put a percentage on it. I think there's always going to be room to grow, right? We're further along than when I came. And I think when I came, we had a lot of like foundation DEI stuff to do. Like it was in our conversation, but we didn't have some foundation of what DEI meant to us, right? It was like, we want to have this, it's important, so let's put it everywhere. And I think we had to establish, how can we do that? What does that look like? Is it really even possible, across the board with faculty, staff, and students? And then, once there, who are the allies who can really make this work, who can make this a part of their day to day, and then have those people help to kind of get it out further, right? So I think we're definitely further along than, say, when I first got here. But I think we also have a lot of growth to do. And then DEI is also changing within itself, right? So there's always best practices. So even though we may have some catching up to do, there's always going to be some best practices that we have to maintain to make sure we're staying on top of things. So I don't think I could give us a percentage, but I think that we're doing better.
Can I ask her just before, because I want to brag on you and all the stuff that you're involved in. Can you just talk about just everything that you've done, let's say in the past year, your programs, the events that you put on, just because I get to talk to you pretty much, weekly with our Mag 7 meetings. So just the whole stuff that you've gone over this last year, and then you continue to want to grow in the future, because there's a lot that you're always in every piece for that Department of One, supporting everybody.
Right. Okay. Cody, you could have gave me a heads up. I could have had a list.
Well, just anything that pops up.
Let's see. So we have the Reconnect Summit, right, which is something that we started last academic year that has really grown in a very cool way. We do large groups where we invite, all faculty and staff to come. And then we do smaller groups. So there have been some departments that have taken us up on the smaller group ones where we kind of help grow that connection within those departments, right? Which is has been really cool. Because for me, it's allowed me to kind of meet smaller departments and kind of get to know them better. And then hopefully for those departments, it's helping them to kind of have more of that team feel, which I know is also one of our goals, right? Like we're a team. And so we got to kind of start small and go larger, right? And so the plan for that next year is to actually have a little bit more of a student focus so that we can have more student sessions to kind of work on building that connection with the campus for students. So that's our focus for next year with that. We have the Multicultural Student Fall Kickoff where we have different like student service areas come, and we invite all of our students from, different cultures, whether that's our international students, whether that's our students of color or whatever, and they come and kind of get to interact with our support services, so they know who to reach out to if they need anything kind of while they're here. We also have the with adult ed, we did a global awareness panel, which was really cool. They put most of that together, but they had a very cool panel of international participants who talked about kind of their experience in their home countries, but then their experience here, and that was super awesome. Man,
you didn't need a list. You were going all the way through it. You did pretty good.
She's got a lot of them committed to memory.
Nonstop.
There are more, and I'm just like, and we had our annual MLK event, which this year had amazing numbers. Our keynote speaker was Al Womack, and he did such an amazing job. He's over the Alton Boys and Girls Club, but he's also on the Alton School Board. So that was really cool. And we had a lot of participation from community members, but also, faculty member brought their classes. So it was great. Like we really kind of outgrew the space, which is always the goal. So yeah, we've been doing quite a bit. We have a DEI task force that is working to operationalize the blueprint because we have goals in there that we want to meet. And so kind of need a team to make it happen. Yeah, trying to think.
Well, it sounds like that. You've been saying there are a lot of things that are in the beginning stages and baby steps, but at least step by step you're moving forward. You're not just standing still. So that's certainly progress can only happen that way. That's
the plan. We're trying to. I'm really trying to make some more community connections with LC. I know we have some great community partners. And I think it's really cool if we can bring them to campus and kind of have that connection built. Last year we did a women's empowerment panel, and we reached out to some women from the area, and they came and spoke. And it's just like, once you have that connection built, you can reach out and either bring these people back or work with them in some way in the community to really kind of grow that LC brand. So that's a part of something I'm trying to do as well. So, yeah.
Well, congratulations on the work that you've done so far.
Thank you.
And we look forward to seeing where it goes from here and how it begins to get more momentum and continue to grow forward. And you said October is the next month that we need to pace.
So,
of course, we really shouldn't do that, should we? Because it shouldn't be something that's just tied to a date or to a month. It should just be part of us. It
really should. Now, with that being said, there are heritage months throughout the year. And one of my goals is to start doing a better job of acknowledging those months. October is Global Diversity Awareness Month, but, we have Hispanic American Heritage Month coming up. We have Asian American Pacific Islander, there's Pride Month. Like, there are a lot of heritage months out there, and I think that we can do a better job of just letting people know that these months are happening and doing some programming that, align with those months. So that's on the to-do list as well. So, yeah.
So why don't we do this? We'll just leave you an open invitation, and you can come back when you want to. How's that sound?
Well, thank you. I appreciate
and
it.
You can pick out whatever's on your mind to talk about during that time. We won't pigeonhole you into we can only talk about a specific a month, and maybe we can kind of help you broaden people's perceptions of what this is really all about, and not tie it to any specific celebration, and kind of try to ingrain it more into the culture overall.
Yes, that would be
Same
awesome.
thing we do with that playful banter that we do up front. You just tell us what you want to announce. We're going to put it in the front part of this podcast.
I love that. That sounds good to me. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much for being with us.
Yeah. And once again, thanks for the invite. This is cool.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Mike.
When we come back, we're going to talk about another podcast here on campus. Features a couple of Lewis and Clark baseball players, and we'll talk a little baseball as well. This is the A2Z Across LC podcast.
We are
LC A to Z.
Yo, what up? It's Mike Keith, the proud graduate of Lewis and Clark Community College. I got my start in broadcasting and now I work all over the country. I discovered my path in media, but my path could have been in exercise science. Let's go! Or I could have discovered the artist in me.
And welcome back to our final segment of the A to Z Across LC podcast for this program. Jeff Alsman here, Cody Zipman alongside, and we have a couple of Lewis and Clark baseball players that are with us. They also happen to be a part of the fraternity. They are also podcasters. They have their own podcast here at the college. So we're going to talk baseball and podcasting in this segment with Jaxson, Grubbs, and Jake I knew I was going to do that. Radosevich here on the program. Jake, I apologize for messing up your name, but that's a lot of letters, so just want to let you know. Welcome to the program, guys.
Thank you for having us on.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it.
So the podcast is called Pitch and Catch. I'd like first for one of you to explain, and I know Jake is the catcher. Jaxson, you're pitcher / first baseman.
Yep.
How is that how you came up with the name? Is it that obvious? Or
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of trying to come up with a catchy name for the podcast, and I figured I'm a pitcher, he's a catcher. Pitch and catch kind of goes along with the whole baseball theme of our podcast, so that's kind of how I came up with it.
Was
think
this a project?
great title.
Oh, I love
Yeah,
it. I love it. Is this a project or anything in a class that you take, or did you guys just
Well,
decide?
I am in a podcasting class, but I really took the class to learn how to make podcasts and use all the programming and stuff because, me and Jake were talking last year. We wanted to make one while we were playing last year, but we obviously didn't have a clue of what to do or any of the programming or anything like that. So that's kind of why I talked to Ferg, and he said, take Mike Lemon's class. And I was like, all right, sign me up.
Mike
And
Lemons,
here we are.
your new favorite professor on campus, right?
Yep.
He's not sitting in the room right now.
No, he's not.
So Jake, how many episodes do you guys have, and how often does the podcast post or hit, and where can folks find it?
I believe we have 6 episodes. We record every Monday, and I believe they're on all platforms, big platforms, Spotify, and
pretty much Spotify, YouTube right now.
Yeah.
I'm looking to get more like Amazon, like some of the other smaller ones, so to say. But yeah, right now just Spotify and YouTube.
How do you guys come up with content? Do you plan out at least a topic to get things started, and then just free will it from there, or do you have something that's kind of segmented? How do you guys do yours?
I kind of make an outline, so to say. We talk about the games that we've played that week for LC baseball. We bring a guest on from the team or one of the coaches, and we come up with questions to ask them, whether it be like their baseball career or how they've been doing this year. And then we talk pretty much about Division I baseball for the rest of it. So
when you talk about Division I, you look up games and watch them.
Yeah,
or just,
I kind of follow along. I follow an account on Twitter actually, and they kind of post like what happens during the week, and I kind of just take notes during the week and kind of just throw it into the
Where's my
outline.
boys from Rice at this year?
I have no idea. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay.
I hope
we
they're
haven't
doing
really-
better than your soccer team.
Rice is normally good at baseball, but it's been a while. I've seen them at the College World
They are
Series.
usually pretty
sometimes.
good, yeah.
And I like them because they're more of that like mid-major type down there. I mean, nothing else at Rice is competitive at the higher levels,
Yeah.
but baseball always was.
The best
so.
rice, chicken fried rice. That's all there is to it. I'm just
Did
saying.
we change roles right now?
I'm just saying.
Like I'm the serious one, and then
You're rubbing off on me, I guess. I don't know.
Because he's definitely the Aussie in the group, right? He's the outliner and the planner or whatever. And this one right here is me.
So he's show prep guy,
Yeah.
and Jake is just kind of
Cliff Notes,
roll
showed it,
with
and then
it.
bam, hit me with something right now, Jake.
If he starts singing, I'm walking out.
Oh, if he did, that would have been
I'm just
awesome.
telling
Put me in, coach. I'm ready to play.
Yeah,
Today.
something like that. But we both, honestly, up for the podcasting, like notes and stuff. He comes up with an outline and kind of look through it, and we see stuff all over social media. So that's where we get the big D1 stuff. But besides that, yeah, we usually talk about our games and our week, like week by week and day by day, kind of what happens during baseball. So it's pretty fun. You know, last year we really wanted to do a podcast. It was actually a group of 4 of us, but we couldn't really do it last year. And Jaxson signed up for the podcasting class and said, "What a better opportunity!" You know,
We're gonna spread the word on this podcasting, digital streaming, broadcasting department. We're gonna get more in here.
I mean, I've already been telling all the guys on the team.
I mean, I
so,
think everybody should be signing up for this, right?
I
Because
agree.
that's just nonstop. How many podcasts are out there? And you do it. Your own
Millions,
stars,
yeah.
right?
Mhm.
From
So when you started the podcast, did it have any impact on the team? Did you start winning more games?
I wouldn't say we started winning more games.
You're not supposed
to
I think,
yeah.
I think the guys kind of enjoy listening to us talk about the stuff, and they are kind of excited about who we're going to pick to be the guest for that week. So
So it's like, is it like the star player of the week kind of thing?
pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
I try to keep it fresh. Just whoever plays well that week or whatever, stuff
So-
like that.
So how brutal do you get? I mean, is this like 101 radio? Like Cardinals have lost their 3rd in a row. Mediocre pitching staff. We can hit the ball, but we can't.
They
pitch to
can't
save
get
our
on there,
life.
Cody, and say our pitching
hey,
is terrible. They can't do that.
we just lost to Heartland 15-0 or whatever it is. How's that show go?
I mean, we keep it. I'd say we keep it pretty honest.
Yeah, okay, I
And
like
if
that.
we get our butts kicked, we kind of keep it how it is. We got our butts kicked, kind of thing. So
I mean, it strengthens a team. I was just in a meeting the other day, and the Josh and across. I mean, that's what athletics is, and then you're strong with it, you're honest with it, and then that translates back because you know, hey, we got to be better in these spots.
that's true.
Oh, okay, I like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's not fluff.
I'd say we keep it pretty honest.
Good.
You know, we tell what we need to tell, and you know, the good is good and the bad is bad. So
What about percentages? Do you get real quote unquote analytical on there?
No, I mean, I kind of, if someone has like a good day pitching, I'll throw their stats in there, kind of thing. But I don't really get into the percentages or anything like that. No.
Okay.
maybe the D1 like hitters or something like that. I
yeah.
know we've mentioned a lot about one or two particular guys that are over 500. So
What about Tim Kirkjinney? You know, where you're like, on Tuesdays in April at 8:05 p.m., a left-hander is more likely to hit a 2-0 fastball at this point. And do you have any of that?
You
Yeah, no,
listen to way
definitely,
too many
yeah.
podcasts.
Definitely not.
That's-
Definitely
Oh, that
nothing
guy
like
has some
that,
good
no.
stuff. If he stands on one leg when the wind's blowing out of the north,
Yeah. Yeah, no, nothing.
Yeah,
nothing
nothing like that, I would
no.
say.
Gotcha. Who's your favorite player?
On the team,
MLB.
in the MLB,
I don't dare say that on the team.
because
I'd say Mike Trout. Mike
Trout?
Trout's probably been my favorite player for a while now.
I gotcha.
yeah, I'd say either Trout or just from me being a catcher, probably Realmuto from the Phillies. He's just a tough guy back there. He got hit in the wrist and
I saw that.
slid into a few times, and I was thinking I got slid into at John Wood this past weekend, and I saw that video, and he's just a tough guy behind the plate, so I really kind of go by his game a little bit.
Willie McGee was my guy that's have 51 on the old Spark. What about you?
well, I go back a little farther than you do.
What, are you gonna say Babe Ruth?
No, I don't go that far back. I have several favorites because I've lived through 50 years of Cardinal baseball, but Lou Brock was my childhood
As my dad's.
favorite.
He loved Lou Brock.
Lou Brock, he was the best. And then, I mean, you could pick somebody out of every decade, and I could tell you I've got a favorite or two out of every decade. Albert, obviously the most recent, but I'm like everybody else. I'm the legend player kind of fan, so it's.
He just called himself a legend.
No, I said I'm the legend player
I got you.
fan. So
Lim, what about you in the back? 45. Bob
Gibson.
Gibby,
Gibson.
oh, yeah, Gibby,
Yeah.
How can you not?
Yeah. Nobody crowding the plate on Gibby.
No,
Nope.
no.
Definitely not. Nope.
A little bit different type of baseball.
What I'm beginning to notice is a lot of my favorites aren't with us anymore. That's not good news. No. So yeah. But anyway, you guys Cardinal fans? We
Yes.
didn't even
Yeah.
go there. So
Big
you
Cardinal
both are.
fans, yeah.
Okay.
Cardinals and White Sox. That's me.
White. Oh boy, that's
Sorry.
like
How's that combo?
that's like the thrill of victory and
I
the
don't know.
agony of
I
defeat
grew up a
all at the
Sox
same
fan because
time.
my dad played for him. And he came out
Oh,
of LC.
okay.
Oh, he did
So-
really?
Gotcha.
Yep. Him and Isringhausen were the battery here.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
Gotcha.
Yep. They were here at the same time. And I think my dad signed out of MOBAP. So he ended up semester at SIUE, a year here, and then a semester at MOBAP, and then went to the White Sox. And I think he made it up to high A. And he always tells me about catching MJ's batting practice and meeting him. And it's pretty sweet.
There's a new guest opportunity for the podcast. right there.
MJ, can you come on this
Yeah.
podcast?
Right. Yeah.
Well, I wasn't talking about MJ. I was.
Yeah, I know you were talking about that, but I'm just going straight out.
Might as well get them both, right? Yeah, exactly.
We were actually, Randy Martz was at my house the other day. He bought a little John boat off my dad, and my dad asked Randy if he can maybe come on the podcast. My dad told him about kind of what we were doing, me and Jaxson. He was like, yeah, sure,
Oh, that'd be awesome.
yeah,
Yeah, that would be awesome.
that'd be pretty sweet, I think.
Yeah, no, absolutely. They're getting better guests than we are. You better step it up.
Well, we can collaborate with them.
That's true.
You know when you get in the market and you know that you
we
have
could be
to
on
sell the show.
We could be on their show, just a
they-
different segment.
That's right. So
Yeah.
they stop, and then the next guest stops at us, and then the next guest goes
You
on
just
there.
kind of move it right
Yep,
around.
yep.
So I want to know what you've learned from your time in the podcast class that you have put into actually into your podcast.
I think, Mike's definitely taught me a lot of how I should talk when I'm on the podcast. Just kind of, I mumble a lot when I talk sometimes. So like the words kind of like go together. So he's kind of taught me how to inflectuate a little bit, just moving my mouth up and down when I'm talking. And then I also have another class with David Olenbiddle, and he's teaching me how to use the Adobe Audition, which is what the sound goes into pretty much. What you record on, but yeah, I think without him, without both of them, I wouldn't have any clue of what I'm doing. To be honest with you,
You guys both seem very poised and just very natural, not nervous at all.
Yeah.
And that's not common from a lot of the students that we have that come in and they're part of the podcast and they're afraid of the mic or they want to get way back here
Yeah.
or they. But you guys, I guess maybe either learning it or just naturally.
I say yeah, just practice.
or
Practice makes perfect, pretty much. So we've been doing it for a couple months now. So it's just kind of getting into it. And
Was
doing
that hard
it
at the
kind of thing.
beginning, or did
Yeah,
it just come-
definitely?
was it?
I think if you listen to the first podcast I put out and the most recent one we've put out, you'll definitely be able to tell a difference. Just of like how we talk, and he was pretty quiet, and now he's kind of growing into it. So
That's the way Cody started. Too.
I was the
He
exact
pretty
same
quiet.
way.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah,
quiet.
it wasn't like
Don't believe that for a minute.
It wasn't like I'm just a co-host kind of person, but I wasn't really like nervous about anything. So I mean, I kind of just said what I needed to say, and kind of entertain. So
Yeah.
that was the goal.
You kind of settle into it.
Right.
I don't want to say nerves, but it's just like us talking.
Right.
And then you don't even notice everything.
And that's
Right.
really the key to a podcast, is just to be conversational, like guys sitting around a table and talking about whatever the topic is. At least that's our goal for our podcast. I'm sure it is for yours as well, just to make everybody comfortable, both the guests and the audience, so that they want to continue to listen to what you guys are talking about. And hopefully it's always interesting enough that it maintains their attention and they stay throughout the program.
For
sure, yeah.
I got one final thing. I just want to know your predictions for the World Series winner. Mine is the Pittsburgh Pirates. Go.
Pirates.
That's a hard. Hold on.
Now, but ask him if he's got money on that, because I doubt he's that
What are you
confident.
talking about, Jeff? You know we can't gamble.
Well, I'm just
I
saying,
can't do
I
any
bet
of
you're
that.
not
None of
nearly
that.
as confident in that as you're.
Pittsburgh Pirates, man.
It's easy to say that.
It
but
is
do
easy
you
to say that,
walk
especially in the
walk?
first month of the season.
You have a reason behind it at all?
I'm there in
Just the
first place
lineup?
right now.
Okay.
I'd say right now it's hard to not pick the Dodgers,
Good. Yeah.
but
What gave that one away? The $1 billion payroll?
Yeah, I was going to say.
I have a magazine. I think it was from 67. I used to collect these old Sports Illustrators, and it had the Cardinals lined up at the locker, and literally it says $1 million payroll at the time. That was it. That was the max. What, $1 million. And it has Roger Maris is on the edge of his career. I think Shannon's in there, but I still have it to this day. But it's so fun. $1 million. And now, what did we just talk about? $1 billion.
$1 billion, yeah.
$1 million now is almost the entry level.
Exactly.
Yeah, I would say
different times, eh?
It's like 500,000 for just like a
It's-
That's league
standard.
minimum.
Yeah.
League
Yeah.
minimum,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I would, if you were asking my prediction, I'd probably either say the Dodgers or the Yankees as well, because we talked about it on one podcast. I think we were talking about if there was like one or two guys you just like wouldn't be able to touch if you were hitting. It would be Glasnow from the Dodgers and then Joe Kelly as well. And if you look at the Dodgers rotation, you're talking about 5 All-Stars, and then Yamamoto came in, and I don't see how any of their pitchers are hittable. I mean, it's very difficult. It's just
So the Dodgers didn't go out and just buy innings eaters, right?
no.
They actually bought. Okay.
No, they
I didn't.
They went and bought winners.
They bought game swallowers.
Yeah.
Is what they
Gotcha.
bought.
Okay.
Yeah, not
I got
innings
you.
eaters. Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter to me as long as the Dodgers don't win. That's all I care
agree,
about.
yeah.
You agree?
I agree, yeah. I don't want them to win, but it's kind of hard to not
It's pretty
pick them
hard
right
looking
now.
at that lineup.
Yeah.
Lim?
Yeah.
Lim says Cards all the way. Die hard Cardinal. Die hard Cardinal fan. Every
Yep.
game he's at.
Well, guys, thanks for coming on board, being with us, and sharing a little bit. We didn't talk a whole lot about baseball, or about the Lewis and Clark baseball necessarily. I guess we could real quick. It's kind of mid-season. Anything standing out so far, or is it just baseball is the kind of thing that can turn quickly though, because you play so many games. So it's
Right.
kind of where you are now can be so different in a week.
Yep.
If you go on a winning streak.
I think the biggest thing for us right now is that everyone makes playoffs this year. Last year it wasn't. I think only 7 teams made the playoffs, and there's 9 in our conference. So I think this year we just want to be playing our best baseball by playoff time.
So you got the Cardinals philosophy: just get there
Yep,
and then
pretty
see what
much, yep.
happens. Yeah.
I think earlier in the year we were playing a little bit better. This past weekend we didn't play very well, but we beat Harlan, the defending national champion, twice this year, which we got our butts kicked by them last year.
That was a big series. That was
So
good
yeah,
by you guys.
I mean that's probably one of the high notes of this year, I would say. But
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
we're just trying to keep getting better every single day and just be at our best by the time playoffs come around.
I agree with that. Yeah, I think that we've played kind of not totally bad, but just kind of mediocre. The beginning of the season was pretty good, I would say, but the last couple of weeks have been kind of iffy, so to say. But playoffs is a whole different story. Like Jaxson said, every team makes the playoffs. So, and then you look at our conference. We can beat anyone in our conference. We beat Harlan, we beat John Wood, beat Lincoln Land. You play anyone in the postseason, you can beat them. And like you said, baseball can kind of turn around in a complete 180. Anything can happen. So,
Well, best of luck to you as you close out the season and then start the second season, as they say, when the playoffs come around. And who knows, maybe we'll have you guys back on. You'll be bringing a trophy in and showing it to
right,
us.
that'd be awesome.
That'd be awesome for sure.
And we would just, certainly let you know that we have lots of openings in our schedules if you need any guests on your podcast.
I have free time all the time. Let me know.
We'll
That would
do
be
for
awesome.
sure. We'll do.
And we can talk a lot more baseball.
Yeah, there you go. Yep.
Well, thanks so much for being with us. Good luck not only with the baseball season, but with your podcast as well. And we will be listening in, and we hope everybody else is. Again, you can find it wherever you find your podcasts. You can get these guys. It's called Pitch and Catch, and then a Lewis and Clark
A
perspective.
Trailblazer point of view.
Trailblazer point of view. That's it. Okay. Well, congratulations on that. Continued success. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Cody, I guess there's nothing else to do but for you to send us out.
4-0 Chelsea, halftime.
It's over.
We are
LC.
LC A to Z.